Vayikra Paro Lavrom. Paro calls Avram. Vayomer Mazos Asisali. What'd you do to me? Lama lo igadato liki ishtachahi. Why didn't you tell me it's your wife? Lama marta chosihi. Why'd you say it's my sister? V'eka chosali leisha, and I took her as a wife. V'ata hina ishtacha kach v'lech. Here, take your wife and get out of here. Doesn't even give a chance to answer. So you have a classic example over here of what we call blaming the victim. Right? I mean, a guy's traveling with a woman who could have easily been married. Well, who do you think she is? You guys traveling? Oh, you mean brothers and sisters just travel the world together, huh? You know. I mean, did you stop to think and ask? Maybe we don't find Paro saying when they brought her to Paro. We don't find Paro saying, "Are you sure she's not married? Are you sure?" You don't say Paro just immediately. You know, I mean, it's like this happens sometimes with people with kashrus also. The guy eats something, and then after he eats it, he says, "Oh, I didn't know that wasn't kosher." I mean, I saw the supervision. It said OR on it. You know, I thought OR stood for Orthodox. You know, I didn't know. You know, a guy goes into McDonald's and saw a big M. You know, I thought that stood for Mahadran. You know, I didn't know. I thought it was Parva cheese. You know, I didn't know. Sure, you didn't know. First you indulge, then you start asking questions later. Right. So then you have situations in life where you have this blame the victim type of thing, where all of a sudden the guy who's really at fault ends up the accuser. And I've been in situations like, maybe we could turn on the where's Harry, could we turn on air conditioning? I've been in situations like this happens with students especially, and you got to be, if you're a teacher, you got to learn how to not fall into this trap. Where I knew a guy once who got, he was in a yeshiva high school, so he got busted for smoking weed. So he gets called into the principal. So the principal says to him, "Listen, you know, you're in big trouble." And you know, it's Yeshiva High School, American Yeshiva High School. He says, "You're in big trouble. I want to know who else was involved." So the guy says, "Listen, I'm not going to rat on my friends." He says, "You know, you're in big trouble. If you don't tell it, you're going to end up, you get them suspended, expelled. You know, you're in trouble." He says, "Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to rat on my friends." So the guy says, "Okay, listen, you don't need to tell me anyway because I know that it was Mike and Joe." So the guy looks at me and goes, "Well, never mind." He goes, "What?" He goes, "No, I don't want to say because I'm going to get in trouble." He goes, No, okay, say whatever you want. He says, "No, if I say it, I'm going to get in trouble." "No, you won't get in trouble." He says, "I promise no matter what I say, I won't get in trouble." He says, "I promise. And nothing I can say will get me in trouble now?" He goes, "Nothing will get you in trouble." He says, "Okay, you're a liar." He goes, What? He goes, "You said it was Mike and Joe, and it wasn't. Now, you said you knew it was Mike and Joe, and it wasn't Mike and Joe, so you lied." So what he did was he put the principal on the defensive. And the principal, you know, now he's saying, I think as bad as smoking marijuana is, running a school by lying is even worse. You know, that he got the guy on the defensive, and ended up got off with a hand slap. You know, now what the principal should have done is he should have laughed and he should have said, "You know what? You really did that well, Chaim. You know, I'm impressed. You really trapped me well. You're still in trouble. Now let's deal with the issue." Right? Don't switch the tables on me because all of a sudden you're blaming me because even though you're guilty, and you have to know not to let that get you. Sometimes that happens where all of a sudden the cop is getting trouble. Yeah, if you wouldn't have stolen the car, I wouldn't have had to resort to. Usually we were speeding also when you nabbed me. Yeah. Well, if you wouldn't be stealing cars, I wouldn't be speeding. So don't start. Don't blame. So here, Paro got, you take a guy's wife and you get in trouble for it. So who do you blame? Instead of turning around and saying, "You know what? I guess I did something wrong. God wouldn't have punished me if I wasn't somewhat guilty. Maybe I should have asked a little bit more. Maybe I should have investigated. I should have wondered what's going on." So instead, it's your fault. Now get out of here. And it doesn't even give him a chance. Doesn't even give him a chance to respond. Again, put yourself in Avino's position. You're told by God, leave your home, go to the land of Israel, and you're going to prosper. So you get to the land of Israel. There's famine. So you go to Egypt, and your wife gets taken, and she's behind closed, locked doors with the king of Egypt. And what's going through your mind at a certain point? The person's going to turn and say, "Hey, what happened over here?" That's the test. That's the test. A guy could be pulling tefillin out of his tefillin bag, and it wrenches his back. Right? And he could be a tzaddik, right? And you wonder, hey, I was doing a mitzvah. Why'd I deserve this? Right? And Hashem says, "Don't worry, you deserve a lot worse, buddy. Be happy. Be happy this is all that happened to you." So that's a test. So listen, what I got to go put on tefillin to go wrench my back? That's a test. It's all a test. And this is a much bigger test. Because this is a test of the man who was promised directly by God to do what I tell you and everything's going to be good. And it's not only not good, it's bad, and it goes from bad to worse. That's a test. Okay, let's go on. Pasuk Zayin. 5 lines from the bottom. There's an argument between the shepherds of Avram's flocks and the shepherd of Lot's flocks. Now this Lot, remember we mentioned yesterday, Lot is Avram's nephew who was orphaned from his father Haran, who had jumped into the fire. And the commentaries say that Avram Avinu, so Avram takes Lot with him. At a plain level, Avram Avinu feels, okay, he's an orphan, he needs help. At a slightly deeper level, Avram Avinu feels I'm somewhat responsible because I set the example, that's why he's an orphan. If not for me, his father would still be alive. His father jumped into the fire because I jumped into the fire. You hear the level of responsibility. He says, I'm responsible for him. And at a deeper level still is the idea of Avram Avinu, the wandering Jew, taking Lot, keeping him near, because it represents Mashiach. Right? That the Mashiach is always near. The descendant of Lot, Mashiach comes from Lot. Okay? Now, so Avram says to Lot, look, we have a problem over here because there's a fight. Now take a look at Pasuk Zayin and Rashi. We have to read this. Rashi, it's the left column, 5 lines from the top. If you find it, please show the person next to you. Left column, 5 lines from the top. Vayehi Riv, there was a fight. Says Rashi, Lefi shehayu ro'av shalot rishoyim. Lot's shepherds were rishoyim. They were bad. Umarim behemtam bizdos acherim. They would graze their animals in other people's fields in the lands of Canaan. Which is one of the reasons why the Gemara says shepherds are always suspect of theft, because shepherds have to graze on property that doesn't belong to them. You have no right to go grazing on other people's property. V'roei Avram mochichimosam al gezel. And Avram's shepherds would rebuke them and say, hey guys, you're grazing, you're stealing. V'heim omrim, and they would say back, nit nahar it's Avram. Hey, listen, God awarded the land to Avram. V'lo ein yoresh. Lot, he doesn't have any inheritors. Avram does have children. V'lot ben achiv yoresh. Lot's his nephew, he's going to inherit from him. V'ein zegezel, therefore it's not theft. Otherwise known as what? Rationalization. Now listen to the rationalization. Hey guys, you're grazing on this land over here. Yeah, but God gave the land to Avram. Avram doesn't have any children. Our boss is his nephew. He's going to inherit the land, so it's as good as his. Right? Yet, the land wasn't given. But the Torah says, the Canaanites and the Prizim were in the land. Avram hasn't gotten it yet. You understand this? This is a beautiful triple-layered rationalization. Number one, it's not time yet. Number one, he never got it. Number two, Lot never inherited. And they're saying, well, it's as good as his. It's as good as his. Okay? Now that answers a bigger question. What does Avram do? Let there not be a battle between us. We're brothers. Let's not fight. People make all the jokes about that's where the biggest fights are, family fights. Right? Now Rashi throws in something which we'll only see later why Rashi says this. Anoshim achim anachnu. Look at what Rashi says. Anoshim achim. Rashi is 5 lines from the bottom in that same left column. Krovim, we're relatives. So let's not fight. Umedrash agoda domin beklaster ponim. They looked alike. Avram and Lot looked alike. Okay, I don't know why. Let's not fight because we look alike. What exactly does that mean? What's that doing over here? What's that? All right, that we'll see later exactly how that comes into play in a fascinating way. But okay, so he says, no, let's not fight. Let's separate im hasmol if you go left, ve'yamin I'll go right, ve'yamin ask me. So this begs a very big question. Lot takes a look and he chooses to go by the land of Sodom, down by the Dead Sea, which was a very, very fertile area. They got prosperity and everything else. So look, now, the question becomes like this. Avram Avinu was Makar of the world, right? He was involved in outreach. He was involved in drawing everybody near. Why doesn't he draw Lot near? Here's his nephew, his own flesh. No, they have a fight. You know what you're doing Averis, you go somewhere else. Yeah, other people are doing Averis, he drew them near. Interesting question, isn't it? Of all people, Lot you separate from? The answer is, according to the commentaries, you see there's a difference when people are doing something they shouldn't be doing. You got a guy who says, listen, I know it's wrong, but I'm doing it anyway. And you got another guy who tries to justify it. The distance between them and between the possibility of having any effect on them is mina kotzel akotzel, from one end of the world to the other. A guy who's doing wrong, and he knows I know I'm doing wrong. Where can I tell you I enjoy it? Okay, as long as you know you're doing wrong, there's hope to change it to make it right. When you start justifying, especially a religious justification, nothing like a religious justification. Hashem said that the land so from. Hashem said the land goes to Avram Avinu, and that Avram doesn't have any children, and it goes to Lot, and mit the thumbs over here, and since he doesn't have, and since somebody got, and that's as good as his. Shkoyach. I can't deal with a person like that. There's nothing I can do with a person like that. A person like that, he's going to have an answer for everything. He's going to have a justification for everything. You telling me, why we stole? Because we like other people's money. We shouldn't, but it's a good parnasa. Okay, then I respect you. Right? Now we'll work. Now at least we both know you're doing wrong. But when you think you're right and you're wrong, that, by the way, wives hate that. Wives absolutely hate that. Right? If your wife ever is upset with you for doing something, it doesn't matter what it is. You forgot to take the garbage. It doesn't matter what it is. Just say, you're right, I should have done it. They absolutely hate when husbands make excuses, because that only confirms their suspicion that we are immature and we are dominated by our ego, and we're not willing to admit that we have flaws, which is their suspicion. I once read in the Reader's Digest, what are the 3 words that a woman loves to hear most? Huh? You're right. Yeah. The second best one is you are right. That's the second best one. I was wrong, yeah. Yeah, I've never said that. I've tried several times. I can't get it. I was, you were right. The hardest person in the world to admit to. So Avraham Avinu says, listen, this we can't have. Vayisa lot eseinav, vayaris kol kikay yarden. He sees the entire valley of the Jordan, page 60, top line. Kichula mashke, it was all fertile. Lifnei shaches Hashem. Okay, so Lot decides that he's going off to the land of Sodom, and we want to read one more line, and then we're going on to the next part. Two lines later, it says, Ve'anshe Sodom, Pasuk Yud Gimel, 6 lines from the top, on page 60. 6 lines from the top. Ve'anshe Sodom, Ro'im Ve'chatoim La'Hashem. The men of Sodom were grievous sinners. Now, what do you call it? We'll see also in the coming parshas how bad the people of Sodom were. But just remember, we have one unchecked idea here, which is why does it tell us that Avram and Lot looked alike? Okay, that we'll answer soon. Vayal Avram Mitzrayim, hu ve'ishto v'chol asher lo, he and his wife, v'lot imo hanegba. They go up towards the south. When you're coming from Egypt to go to the land of Israel, you come up through the Negev. The Avram kaved me'od b'mikda b'kesav v'zav. He was very heavily laden with cattle, with silver, with gold. And then look at the next one. This is what we want. This is what I want to get to. Vayelech le'masav. He went on his journeys. Minegev v'ad Beisel. Adam makom hayashem oholo batchila bein Beisel uvein ha'oy. So he goes back on his journeys. Now take a look at Rashi over here. Vayelech le'masav. Now this we're going to deal with for a little while. Rashi on Pasuk Gimel. Says Rashi here. Vayelech lemasav, it's on the right column of Rashi, 4 lines from the bottom. If you find it, please show the person next to you. Right column of Rashi, page 58, 4 lines from the bottom. So Rashi says like this, Vayelech lemasav, he goes back on his journeys. Kishechazar mimitzrayim le'eretz Canaan, when he went from Egypt to the land of Canaan, hayaholech v'lon be'achsanios, he went and he slept. He what do you say? He hosted himself. He rested. When I say if you would go to a hotel, you lodge. Good. Oh, perfect. He lodged in the achsanias. He lodged in the hostels. Shalon bahen ba'alichasol mitzrayim. He lodged in the same places where he had lodged on the way down. That's where he lodged on the way up. Who said that, by the way? Impressed, Yonah. Limedcha derech eretz. It's only 1 syllable, but I'm still impressed. Limedcha derech eretz. The Torah teaches you proper behavior. Shelo yeshana odam me'achsanya shelo. Don't switch your lodgings. Don't switch your host. Number 1. Then Rashi says, davar acher, another idea. B'chazaraso para kafosav. On the way back, he paid off his debts. So there are 2 very important principles over here. Principle number 1 is, on the way, let's say you go traveling. So you go visit a town, and you stay by somebody's house, There's, in the laws of derech eretz, proper behavior, you don't switch your host. Don't switch your host for two reasons. Let's say you go to a small town. In big towns, let's say you go to New York, so it's a massive place, so nobody knows that you're even in town. But let's say you go, I've experienced this when I go traveling, and sometimes I stay in small Jewish communities. So every time, whenever I go somewhere, so I always first I try to make an attempt to stay by the same people I've stayed at previously, and if I've come in for a different organization, so I tell the people in the organization, when they're asking where I'm going to stay, I said, well, first make contact with the Plony family, and then you work it out with them. But they have to know that. Why is that? Because number one, if I'm in town, or anybody's in town, and you're in town, people know you're in town. Last time you stayed by the Cohens, and this time you're staying by the Levins. So why aren't you staying by the Cohens? It casts them in a negative light. It must be that you're not happy with your hosts, right? Number one. Or, alternatively, it must be your hosts aren't happy with you. And put yourself in a negative light. You know, why aren't you staying there by the Cohens? What happened to you? Walk off with some silverware again? Huh, Yona, you're still doing that? At your lodgings, right? You know, walk off with some silverware. So, we don't. So, number one, it's not proper derech eretz. You don't switch your lodgings. Number one. Number two, it refers to a person. The commentaries say it's not just referring to when you travel. It's referring to your entire lifestyle. Right? Here's a man who was poor, destitute, goes down to Egypt. Where did he stay on his way down to Egypt? I mean, he got no money. Right? He must have stayed at third-rate hotels or hostels, whatever it is. In life, when a person starts making money, what do? We start to upgrade. You upgrade your lifestyle. Well, I drove a Chevy. Now it's going to move it up to a Lexus. Move it up to a Mercedes. You start upgrading. A person has to know it's not a healthy thing. You don't need to upgrade because once you start upgrading, there's no end to upgrading. I think Warren Buffett still lives in the same house that he lived in for the last who knows how many years. Huh? And the same car. I'm sure he probably had a decent car, better than a Kolil car. But he's not driving a Rolls Royce. What do you need it for? At the end of the day, there's no end to that sort of thing. You're just going to get caught up in the materialism. Don't change. So you got more money. So what? What more do you need in life? How many rooms do you need? Evander Holyfield had a massive house with 17 bathrooms. I mean, what do you 17 bathrooms? I mean, how many bathrooms do you need? You can only use one at a time. What do you take turns? I mean, what are you going to do with all that? How big a house do you need? And Jewish women for sure don't want big houses, because how do you clean it for Pesach? Right? That's always their concern. How do you clean it for Pesach? So don't upgrade, because the upgrading is just going to create a need for more upgrading. Okay, you can buy a little better. You can spend a little bit of money. So they have all these women, all these people who win the lotteries. And always they had a report now in Israel about a woman who won the lottery. Now she's heavily in debt. She won a massive amount of money. Now she's heavily in debt. They closed down her credit cards, everything. She just spent, upgraded. Now she's cursing the day she won the lottery. Okay, that happens. You get her all these people. Then you have the other people who win the lottery, and they're perfectly fine. There was a couple school teachers in America, 30-year-old school teachers, husband and wife. They won $80 million. I think in Wisconsin years ago. They won $80 million. Went to work the next day. Just went right back to work to their job, right? Because the goal in life is to be doing something that you want to be doing anyway. The goal in life is to find a job that if I won, I wouldn't switch anything anyway. Okay, maybe I would, I'd buy a better car. I'm not going to switch my whole life for us. I'm so miserable. I just want to change everything about my life, right? There's no end to that sort of thing. So he says that's the danger of upgrading, number one. Number two, he pays off his debts. So this is really an incredible statement. He went to pay off his debts. Now, what debts did he have? What debts did Avraham Avinu possibly have? Debts, if he had to pay his debts, hakafosa means what he took on credit. So he went back to the hostels that he had stayed at to pay off his creditors, which means that he's on the way down to Egypt, and obviously on the way down to Egypt he didn't have any money. So he goes into a hostel. The guy says, yeah. He says, kid, put me up, my whole family. Yeah. Got a credit card? How are you paying for this? I'm good for it. I'll get you on the flip-flop. On the way back from Egypt. I'll get you on the way back from Egypt. I'll pay you back. Oh, you will, huh? What would you say? First of all, I don't know, people coming back from Egypt, okay. What would you say? Guy who you've never seen before in your life comes in. And I'm good for it.
Wouldn't believe it.
What's that? Of course not. Who would believe him? Yet, apparently they did in more than one place, because it says Parakafosov. So the commentaries point out, right. You know why? Because there are certain people in your own life that you've met, who the minute you've met them, you've thought to yourself, no matter what happens, I will never lend this person money. There are other people. I spoke to a big guy who knows a businessman in Australia. He's involved in some heavy hack. So I once asked him, when you meet a guy, from the time, as soon as he walks into the room, do you sometimes make decisions right away that you're not going to deal with the guy? He says, all the time. All the time. A guy will walk into the room, he says, I don't care what he's offering and what the conditions, but I am not going to deal with the guy. Just as soon as the guy walks into the room. He's already made up his mind. So you have this as the opposite. A guy comes in and he says, I'm good for it. They say, you I can trust. So the commentators say, that's right. They saw an Avram Avinu. That's the job of every Torah Jew. The job of a Jew is to create a personality that our essence should be an essence that people who meet us walk away and say, there's a person I can trust. There's a person, a handshake from him is good enough. All I need is his word. His word is good as gold. And that's really the Kiddush Hashem. The Kiddush Hashem is, and so Avraham Avinu is going off to pay off his debts. Paying off his debts means that they trusted him enough that they were willing to lend him the money. Therefore, Avraham Avinu is good for it. We had a guy in Chicago, there's an incredible story, a yeshiva guy. So he told me that he went once to rent a truck. Him and some other yeshiva guys were going to go take a road trip. So they went to rent a truck. I forgot what it's called, a pickup. So they went outside of Chicago. There's like a rental place, kind of rednecky little town. So he comes walking in, and the guy says to him, okay, you need 2 or 3 pieces of identification, whatever it was. So he was short 1 piece of identification. So he says, I haven't got it. So the guy says to him, well, you need 3 pieces of identification. So what should I do? So the guy looks him over. He says, roll back your sleeve. What? He says, roll back your sleeve. He says, okay, he rolls back his sleeve. The guy sees the tefillin marks. He says, oh, you got those marks on your arm. Okay, you're good. I don't need any more identification. Give him the thing. The problem is that the story could have easily had a different ending. That's the problem. I can say, oh, you got those marks on your arm? Forget about it. Last time I got involved with one of those people, I don't care how much identification you got. That would be horrible. That would be horrible. That's that's parakafosov. That number 1. Number 2 is like this. I imagine in the ancient world there were skeptics and cynics all over the place. So, everybody meets Avram Avinu, and Avram Avinu is coming. Hey, there's the guy who God told him to come to the land of Canaan. Hey, there you are. How you doing? How you doing, Hashem's man? Right now, it looks like you're struggling a bit, huh? Looks like, where are you off to? Egypt, huh? I thought Hashem's like go to the land of Israel. Right, and everybody's having a good laugh. And all the cynics are having a good laugh. And then all of a sudden you're on your way to Egypt, and suddenly you haven't got, what do you call it? You haven't got a place to stay, can't even pay for it. Then all of a sudden he comes back from Egypt and he's loaded. Gold, silver. That's what we call it. And he goes, I got some payback. Got some debts to pay off. I come knocking on the door. Hi, remember me? All right, nothing sweeter in life. Hi, I'm back. All right. Wow. All of a sudden, that's a way to silence the skeptics. That's what it means, parakaphosa. This is the commentary say. So the Torah describes over here a world war. Now, I'm not going to read all the psukim. I'm just going to read the beginning. It says, Vahi b'mei Amraphel, Melech Shinar, 2 lines from the bottom, page 60. Amraphel, who is really a code name for Nimrod. Amraphel stands for the one who said, fall, jump into the fire. All right, so the protagonist of this entire battle, first name mentioned in this battle is Nimrod. Thanks, Harry. First name mentioned is Nimrod. Okay? Now, we've already met Mr. Nimrod once before, right? Nimrod, by the way, is a very popular name in Israel. Nimrod, who stands for the word Nimrod. Nimrod means he caused people to rebel against God, and he's considered an evil person. But unfortunately, in secular Israeli, because the Torah simply describes him as he was strong, Nimrod has become a popular name. I don't know anybody named Amraphel, but there's certainly a Nimrods.
What about Esav?
Esav, I don't know anybody named Esav. Yishmael, there is even in the Gemara you see Rebbe Yishmael. There is a Rabbi Yishmael. The Gemara, you find Rabbi Yishmael was somebody who argued with Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yishmael were constantly going at it. I don't know anybody named Yishmael in our day and age, probably because nowadays there's a certain connotation of people who are giving us a hard time. So nobody, that's just not going to cut it. And I remember I met a guy growing up when I was about 19 or 20. I met a guy who wasn't religious, but he was at the local JCC, and I think he said his father's name was Alan. His parents wanted to name him Adolf, but they wanted to name him Adolf. But then, but by the time he was born, Adolf became a name that most Jews would resist. But Adolf was. I knew a guy in Chicago named Adolf, very firm guy. His English name was Adolf. People it was a common name until it became a name that became kind of disused by Jews, right? So he called him what do you call it? But so here you got the First World War. You got 4 kings, and they waged war with Ezbera Melech Sdom. The word Ra is in his name. He was no good. Vezbirsha Melech Amora. He's got the word Russia in his name. He was also no good. Shinov Melech Adma. Shinov stands for he hates his father in heaven. So we're not talking about any tzaddikim here. Vishem Aver Melech Tzvoim. Shem Aver means he put a limb on his body. Sam Aver. He put some sort of wings on him, tried to fly up and battle God. Umelech Bela Hitzar. So again, you got a bunch of no-goodniks versus other no-goodniks. You have 4 no-goodniks against 5 no-goodniks. And you got a world war. So they get together and they start fighting a war. And in the meantime, the 4 kings defeat the 5 kings. Take a look at, skip down now to 5 lines from the bottom of the page. 6 lines from the bottom of the page. They fight this war. Torah goes into the details of the war a little bit. And then it says like this. The 4 kings, Vayikchu es kol rechush Sdom va'amora. They take all the property of Sdom va'amora ves kol achlam va'yelechu. Then they take all their food and they go off. They take all their supplies. Vayikchu es Lot ves rechusho. They capture Lot and his property. Ben achi Avram va'yelechu, the nephew of Avram, v'hu yoshev v'Sdom. Now that Ben achi Avram seems to be unnecessary. They capture Lot, the nephew of Avram. I mean, aren't you paying attention to the story up until now? Why would the Torah have to go and mention that right now? Because they look alike. We'll get to the looking alike. You're right. That's going to be a factor. Why would you throw that in right now? It's Lot Ben Achi Avram. Why would you throw that in now of all times?
More severe.
More severe? Okay. He's a nephew? Okay. 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 Better.
It seems like it's saying that the people who captured Lot knew that he was the son of...
Not only, very good. In other words, the reason they're capturing Lot is because he's the son of Avram. And not only that, take it even further, it sounds like the entire purpose of this entire world war was to capture Lot, who is the nephew of Avram. In other words, there's a world war being fought, and what's right in the middle of the world war? The Jew. There's a world war. There's a world war happening. You got the Allies and the Axis, and you got a world war being fought. What do you want from me? How did I get into this? Right? Now, somehow, underneath all of it, underlying all of it, the cause, the effect, one way or another, there's a Jew involved. Right? One way or another, what's the expression in French? Chargez la femme, right? Is that right? If there's ever trouble, in French they say, there's got to be a woman involved somehow. Look, the source of all the trouble is the woman. I don't agree. Chargez le Jew. That's what you mean. Somehow or another, there's going to be, it's not necessarily a Jew's fault. One way or another, there's going to be a Jew involved. The Jew's going to surface. One way or another, the Jew's going to surface. So what happens over here? Now stay with us, gentlemen. It's fascinating. The Polit, the refugee, which is Og Melech HaBashan, he escapes and he comes and tells Avram Ivri. Okay. Vayishma Avram, look at the next pasuk, the bottom line on the page. Vayishma Avram ki nishba achiv. Avram hears that his brother was captured. What does brother mean, gentlemen? His look-alike. Vayorek es chanichav yelidei beiso shmona osor shlosh benos. He takes 318 men. Vayirdof adan. So he's going to chase these 4 kings who just defeated 5 kings. He's going to chase them with 318 men. And Rashi says it wasn't even that many. It was just him and Eliezer. The Lone Ranger and Tonto. Remember, there they are. Let's go. Where are we going? We're chasing them. Who? Them. Who? The guys who just won the World War. We're chasing the entire army. Right? Oh, boy, boss, I don't know if I'm up for this. I'm not feeling so. My back is hurting. There's something. Right? Okay? And then the Torah describes how he goes, and he defeats them in 2 words. The Torah describes the defeat. There's no big dramatic description here. He chases them, defeats them, brings back, and he rescues Lot. Boom, end of story. What's going on? What's going on here? Number 1. Number 2, there's a medrash that says, how did he defeat them? How did he defeat them? He took dirt. I mean, what do you do when you're chasing an army like that? What do you do? He took dirt, handfuls of dirt, and he threw it at them. And the dirt turned into arrows and spears and killed them. The originator of the Gatling gun, right? The original. It was a Jew came up with it, right? Threw dirt, turned into, and he defeats them. What's going on? What's going on here? What's the Torah telling us? Is who cares what's going on? The answer is like this. The answer is like this. I heard from a friend of mine, Rabbi Yaakov Minkus. You're a brilliant, brilliant approacher. There was round 1. Nimrod versus Avram. My God versus your God. My God is paganism. Your God is the God who is involved in the world. That ridiculous idea that there's a God who's involved in man's day-to-day action. What we call hashgacha pratis. Ridiculous. Round 1. And who wins round 1? Avram Avinu wins round 1, goes into the fire, and he comes out alive. Oh, we can't have that. Nimrod's taking a beating. So what does Nimrod do? A world war. And in the world war, he eventually defeats these kings. Okay, he had other purposes. He makes some money also. But eventually he captures Lot. And Lot happens, coincidentally, to look exactly like Avram Avinu. And now Nimrod puts Lot in a cage and loads him up on a wagon, and he parades around the world and he says, I captured Avram Avinu. And there's nobody who could tell you different because they haven't got any sort of CNN coverage. They haven't got any sort of mass media. The internet had not yet been discovered. And, probably it was the original one and then was destroyed with the rest of Sodom. And then, And then And he puts him in the cage and they parades him around. And now there's a tremendous chil Hashem. At that point where there's a chil Hashem, Og Melech HaBashan, the refugee from the war front, comes back and says, hey, Avram, they captured your nephew. And what is Og Melech HaBashan, what's he really interested in? Huh? He wants Avram to get killed because he wants to marry Sarah. So what are the chances, what do you think the chances that he's giving Avram Avinu over here? And Avram says, okay, let's go, Eliezer. Okay, boss. Right? And off they go. The 2 of them throwing dirt. And they win the war. And he brings back Lot. That means like this. There's a desecration of God's name. Don't talk to me about chances. You're outnumbered. You haven't got a desecration of God's name. I have to take action. I can't worry about chances, number 1. Number 2, it's again a way of Avraham Avinu showing you don't believe that there's a God who runs the world. I'll show you there is a God who runs the world. All I got to do is pick up dirt. If God wants dirt to work, dirt's going to turn into arrows and spears. And so Avram goes to war, and he goes to war with handfuls of dirt, and he eventually emerges victorious, and he brings back Lot. Why would Avram go to Lot? Wait, you got to go. You don't have to risk your life for Lot just to save Lot if you're going to die. What are your chances, al pi derech hateva, by natural law? If by natural law you haven't got a chance, let's say a guy's drowning, you're going to dive into the river to save him, and you don't know the first thing about life saving, don't dive in because you're going to die. That's clear you're going to die. So don't dive in. So if Avram Avinu, if it was just purely a halachic issue of my nephew's been captured, I have to go and save him, yeah, but you can't save him. Then you're absolved. Not only you're absolved, you're not allowed to even enter the fray. You're not allowed to risk your life. But we're not talking about the nephew. The nephew is a byproduct here. The nephew is the cause of the entire war because there's a chil Hashem. Because Nimrod wants to show I captured Avram Avinu. Oh, at that point it's not about Lot. It's about the Kiddush Hashem and the chil Hashem. At that point, I got to get involved. Now I'll let God demonstrate that He is running the world, and therefore Avram Avinu goes up 2-0 on Nimrod. Right? Avram Avinu in the World Series, right? This is the first World Series ever, right? Avram Avinu goes up on Nimrod. It's 2-0, and then we go to and Lot is rescued, and Avram Avinu brings him home, and that's the end of the story. There's one last point here. The last point is that later on, when the Jewish people go into the land of Israel, so it says that Og was the king, Og Melech HaBashan. He was the king of the Bashan. And it says Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of Og. So Rashi says over there, it's later on in Parshas Maseh, Rashi says, Moshe Rabbeinu, what are you afraid of Og? God did everything else. He says he wasn't afraid of Og the man. He was afraid of the merit that Og had. What merit did Og Melech HaBashan have? He's the one who came back and told Avram Avinu that it was captured. That was his merit. So one of the commentaries points out, and Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of that merit. God had to confirm, had to tell Moshe Rabbeinu, don't worry, you'll defeat him. But Moshe Rabbeinu said, I don't know if I've got enough merits to overcome his merit. So God says to Moshe Rabbeinu, don't worry, you'll overcome it. But do you understand what's going on? What was Og's motivation?
Sarah.
He wanted Sarah. He didn't even have, he had the least pure motivation here. But he did something good. And that what he did good was such a strong merit that Moshe Rabbeinu, hundreds of years later, is still worried about that merit. So just imagine what happens when you do something good with proper motivation. Imagine the merits, imagine the benefits of doing something good with proper motivation. That's where he did it with the worst motivation. Yet he still got some sort of merit. So imagine what a person does the mitzvah properly, what kind of merits a person has does the mitzvah properly. All right.